Hi folks, I'm Matt and welcome to My Expanded Universe, a show where I go everywhere and talk about the expanded universe in chronological order as best I know how. Folks, it's time to review a novel. Yeah, what a novel idea, right? Pun intended. And we're going to review David Sherman's Jedi Trial. Now, this is a book about a separatist invasion on the planet Prazitlin, as Anakin leads survivors on a mission to retake the communications center and free the hostages inside. Now, this is where we see Anakin become a Jedi Knight. Now, of course, it says this happened 2.5 years after the Clone Wars. It actually has to be scrunched into those 4 weeks that I talked about last time, just because of the timeline kind of jam-packed together. But this is still a good one. This one carries a lot of continuity stuff. Some of the continuity things you may remember is the planet actually mentioned about here, Prazitlin, if I'm saying that right, was actually mentioned in Timothy Zahn's Heir to the Empire trilogy. And to be honest, I didn't even know that when they first mentioned it. I had to read that later on in Pablo's book that they made the mention. I was like, what? There's a mention of a planet, it's the same planet that they mentioned in this one? I didn't even know that. How do you even know that? But that's not all. The second thing that was mentioned was a reference to Corran Horn's past from the X-Wing books. It was a slight mention. You see a character that makes a brief appearance in it, and I thought it was really cool, and I think everyone caught that. Now, the third one was a reference to the word Freedom Sons. That is a reference from Han Solo at Star's End. It was a book I haven't reviewed yet, can't wait to, by Brian Daley. I got it. When it was mentioned, I was like, no way, they mentioned it. And it was rare because at that time, those books were not yet, I think they were S-canon, or maybe they were in canon. They weren't even canon yet. But the thing was, people didn't know back then if some of the old Lando Calrissian trilogies, Han Solo trilogies, were part of the original canon. Of course, later on, they would be included. But I think that is one of the few references that we see Brian Daley's trilogy mentioned. One that off the top of my head would be in the New Jedi Order series, where Han Solo mistakes a robot for bollocks. Oh man, I died when I read that. It's very brief. So this is one of those instances. So in this case, I think David Sherman does a great job. He shows his strength and knowledge of the EU, his love of the EU, and he includes these little Easter eggs. That's really all they are, is Easter eggs in the book. Now, I know I've said this before, but again, here's a prime example of where you didn't have to read all the EU to get it, where most people are saying, oh, I didn't know where to start, it'd be so crazy. You could actually just pick up a book, Jedi Trial. Imagine this, episode 3 is about to come out, and so you're thinking, okay, I need to read a book, upcoming for episode 3. And you pick up Jedi Trial. Okay, you don't know anything about it, and then all of a sudden you start reading it, and then you find out that it has all these references in it. Now, if you don't know about the EU, you can still enjoy that book and say, wait, did I miss something? What does this planet mean? Or what was that reference to Freedom Sons? No one's asking. No one cares. But folks didn't know that, and they picked up this book and they read it and they enjoyed it just as is. Now, that being said, is this an enjoyable book? Yes, it is. I remember reading it and enjoying it. It's fun. Is it one of my favorites? No. Is it one of the best of the Clone Wars stories? Obviously not. I think the comic books basically win overall in that. But still, that being said, Jedi Trial is not that bad of a book. It has tons of references. If you do not get them all, don't worry about it. Because that's when you read through all the expanded universe and you go back and read something, then you go, wait a minute, these two connect. And that's the beautiful thing about the expanded universe. All right, folks, there is a lot of people here, so I've got to go. Until next time, see you later. And so that was I should have done this at a con.